Alright, folks, welcome back to section 2. In the first part of this tutorial, we saw how generative models take gigantic high-resolution images, every pixel in the world, and squash them down into tiny manageable codes called latent vectors. Today we are peeling back another layer. We want to understand where those codes actually live. Think of your entire image collection as a vast, chaotic mountain range, a mountain for each picture, piled on top of each other in dozens of dimensions. Hidden somewhere in there is a smooth, continuous sheet, a subtle landscape where all the real images reside. That's what mathematicians call a manifold. Once we find it, everything becomes simpler. We can move around on that sheet, sample new points, and come up with brand new images that look plausible. As we go slide by slide, I'll show you both why identifying that hidden manifold is crucial and how we can actually perform fun operations like adding a smile to a face or morphing one identity into another just by doing a bit of math on that sheet. Buckle up! To get a handle on the word manifold, let's break it down with a simple metaphor. Imagine you have every single photo you've ever taken, your camera roll, your archive, whatever, and you plot them as points. In reality, each photo has hundreds of thousands of pixels. If you try to visualize each as a separate point in space, you'd be dealing with something like a million-dimensional blob, utterly impossible to picture. But here's the kicker. Even though those photo points live in ridiculously high-dimensional space, they don't fill that space uniformly. Instead, they cluster together on a much smaller, smooth surface that winds and curves its way through the chaos. That surface is the manifold. Imagine a crinkled piece of paper folded inside a box. The paper itself is two-dimensional, even though the box is three-dimensional. You can slide your finger around on the paper, but if you stray off the sheet and poke into the empty box, you're in junk space, points that don't correspond to any real photo. In short, a manifold is the hidden home where valid images live. Our AI's goal is to discover that home, flatten out its key directions, and then move around on it without venturing into nonsense land. Now you might be tempted to ask, why do we call it nonlinear? Why not just draw a straight grid across that sheet? To illustrate, picture points arranged in a perfect spiral on a piece of paper. If you try to lay that spiral flat onto a straight line, you have to cut, tear, or stretch. You can't do it without distortion. That spiral is inherently a curved structure. Real-world images behave similarly. For example, consider all photos of human faces. You might think eye spacing is one dimension, nose shape another dimension, skin tone a third, and so on. But those factors interact in complicated, curved ways. If you try to flatten everything onto a simple, straight coordinate grid, you'd lose important relationships. Generative models therefore rely on nonlinear techniques, methods that can bend, stretch, and rope to follow the manifold's curves. Common deep learning layers, convolutions, nonlinear activations, and so forth give the model the flexibility to shape that manifold precisely. So It captures all the subtle twists in the data. This nonlinear approach is what keeps interpolations smooth and realistic when we move from point A to point B on that hidden sheet. Once we accept that our data lives on a curved sheet, the next question is, how do we summarize each point on that sheet with as few numbers as possible? Think of it like this. If you had to describe your favorite song to a friend over the phone, would you recite every single note? Probably not. You'd say something like, it's upbeat, around 120 beats per minute, with a funky bass line and soulful vocal. That short description captures the song's essence, its genre, tempo, and mood in just a few words. Similarly, a generative model's encoder tries to find a handful of numbers, sometimes 20, sometimes 100, that capture the essence of a high definition image. Those numbers from the latent code. Once you have that code, you don't need all 1 million pixel values stored separately. You only need to store the code, and you can reconstruct or generate the original image later by using the decoder. In other words, we are searching for the shortest list of clues that still lets us recreate and modify the image. That's how we go from the towering mountain of pixel down to a neat little valley of latent codes. Believe it or not, humans perform this kind of compression and decompression in our own heads all the time. Let's say you're describing a mutual friend, Maria, to someone who's never met her. You wouldn't list out every freckle on her face or the precise RGB values of her hair color. Instead, you might say Maria is tall with curly dark hair and rectangular glasses. She always wears bright scarves and has an infectious, bubbly laugh. That simple description is your personal latent code of Maria. The listener hears tall, curly hair, glasses, bright scarves, and their brain conjures up mental image of Maria from those cues. You've essentially encoded a complex 3D mental picture into a short list, and the listener decodes those cues into a full mental image. In AI terms, the encoder network does the compression. It looks at the full resolution photo and spits out a small code. The decoder network does the decompression. It takes that code and attempts to reconstruct the original photo. By training on thousands of examples, the model learns to pick out just the right clues to capture the essential characteristics, just as you do when describing Maria. Okay, now that we understand where this latent code lives, let's do something playful. Add a smile to someone's face. Here's the step by step. 1. Label your dataset. Start with a large collection of face images, thousands, ideally. Label each image, smiling or not smiling. You can do this manually or use a simple face detection model that estimates a smile score. 2. Encode every face. Pass each labeled image through your encoder network. Now you have two groups of latent codes. One group for smiling faces, another for non-smiling faces. 3. Compute the average code. Take the average or mean of all the codes for smiling faces. Call this vector SAM. Take the average of all the codes for non-smiling faces. Call this vector SN. 4. Find the smile vector. Subtract the non-smile average from the smile average. That means smile vector equal SM minus SN. This difference gives you a direction in latent space that points from no smile toward big smile. 5. Apply the smile vector to a new face. Take any unseen face, encode it to get code C. Decide how strong you want to smile. Say a factor alpha, for example, 0.5 for a subtle grin, 1 for full-blown smile, and 1.5 for a cartoonish grin. And then compute a new code. That means CNew equal C plus alpha multiple smile vector. Then decode CNew with the decoder. Out pops your original face, but now smiling. By tweaking alpha, you control how, say, bulky the smile grows. At alpha equals 0, there is no change. At alpha equal 1, you get a natural looking grin. At alpha equal 2, the model overshoots and you get a silly, exaggerated smile like caricature. Next, let's blend one face into another, like a digital melting pot. This is how face morphing works in latent space. 1. Choose two faces. Let's say face A is Alice and face B is Bob. Encode both to their latent codes. P1 equal encoder Alice, P2 equal encoder Bob. 2. Pick a blend factor alpha. Alpha is a number between 0 and 1. When alpha equals 0, you're exactly at Alice's code. When alpha equals 1, you're exactly at Bob's code. When alpha equals 0.5, you're halfway between. 3. Compute intermediate codes. For each step in the morph, say we want 10 images, alpha equal 0.0, 0.1, 0.2 until 1. Do p new equal 1 minus alpha multiple p1 plus alpha multiple p2. This is just a weighted average of the two codes, sliding smoothly from P1 to P2. 4. Decode each P new. Run P new through the decoder to get an image. Okay, as it goes from 0 to 1, you see Alice's face gradually morph into Bob's in subtle increments. This interpolation isn't limited to just faces. You could morph a landscape at sunset into tropical beach or blend a dog's face into a cat's. Any two valid points on the manifold can be smoothly connected. By changing how quickly you step through that alpha, that means alpha equal 0, 0.01, 0.02, and etc. for 100 frames. You control the smoothness of the animation. A small alpha increment means a smoother, a slower morph. A larger step means a quick crossfade. Let's step back and appreciate why all this latent manifold magic matters. 1. Creative control without pixel level editing. In the old days, if you wanted to edit a photo's expression, you'd have to painstakingly rub every pixel by hand. Now you just move a slider in latent space. Want a bigger smile? Slide up. Want a more intense lighting effect? Slide another dial. No complicated Photoshop skills needed. 2. Efficient storage and speed. Instead of storing a full 1 megapixel image, that means a million RGB triplets, you keep a 50 element latent code. That's 50 numbers versus 3 million numbers. If you have thousands of images, the savings in memory and compute are enormous. Retrieving or transmitting those 50 numbers is far faster than dealing with all the pixels. 3. Endless possibilities. Because you can navigate the manifold, you can generate completely new faces or scenes that never existed. You can morph, blend two unrelated concepts into one. A cat dog, a sunset forest to Aurora desert, or 70s disco to modern EDM. Applications spans from video game character creation to personalized avatars in social media to rapid prototyping in digital art. 4. Cross-model potential. Although we've focused on images, the same latent space ideas apply to text, music, even 3D models. You can find a latent directions for happy tone in music or mystical vibe in text. In advanced research, these separate latent worlds, image, audio, text, can even be fused into a single super space. So you type a poem and get a painting, or vice versa. In other words, once you learn how to find and use these latent manifolds, you're unlocking a whole new ways to generate, edit, and remix content faster, smaller, and more creatively than ever before. And that completes our deep dive into section 2, identifying the nonlinear manifold where images live, compressing each image into a short latent code, and then performing neat tricks like add smile or face morph. These fundamental ideas aren't just academic, they're the core of everything from deepfake apps to generative art platforms to AI powered filters in your smartphone. In the next section, we'll explore conditional generation, how to guide outputs with text or labels, and multimodal latent spaces where images, audio, and text share one big hidden playground. Thanks for sticking around. If you learn something new, drop a thumbs up and leave your question in the comments. Let's keep on revealing the hidden landscapes of AI together. Thank you.